Hello everyone, it is June 21st, 2021, and we are going to be discussing the COVID vaccine process in Japan.
In Tokyo.
In Tokyo, yeah. Well,
Tokyo.
yeah, mostly in Tokyo. That's mostly what is going to be relevant to our conversation.
I'm going to eat dinner.
And, yeah, Katie quick spoiler, we both got vaccinated today, and Katie just got home. It's kind of late. It is almost 9 as we're shooting this, so she came home and was immediately like, we got to eat. And I was like, we got to make a video, and we're going to do them both at the same time. So, basically, I am interested when I'm hearing from people in other parts of the world how the process goes. So I was kind of excited to share what the process was like for us, just because for some reason, I don't know, it's just like the logistics and stuff that I'm hearing from other people to me is interesting. And I think the logistics of the way things have been going in Japan have been unique in a lot of ways. So I figured it might be fun to just make a video and explain what the logistics were. And just to get this like off the, let's just say it right now, Japan's vaccine rollout has been terrible. Like I said, it is June 21st and we just now got our first shots, and we are some of the first people to get shots in our age group in the entire country. And a majority of older people are not vaccinated yet. It's not good. I don't want to go off the deep end. I'm just going to talk about the facts. But basically, I've been kind of unhappy with the way things have rolled out here, and I'm not alone. So I've got a bunch of notes here that I'm going to be working from, because it's a bunch of dates and stuff, and I don't want to have to try to remember all this. Like, we don't have a teleprompter. We're not those people. So pardon me looking at the phone from now a few times. But
if you had that clamp that held the tablet, you could put it right there, and then you'd have a teleprompter, and then we'd be those people.
I bought one of those clamps today.
We could have been those people, Eric.
But then we'd be over here like scrolling around. Okay, so here is, I'm going to start my timeline on April 25th. And the reason I'm going to start that is because that is when the first stuff started happening for us. We received a document in the mail from our city hall explaining the upcoming vaccine process that was going to take place. What it had explained was that from May 1st, people who are 65 and up can register for their vaccine, and it gave details on that process. It also introduced the vaccine mascot, because of course there's a vaccine mascot. The mascot's name was Wakumaru, if anybody is keeping tabs. And this document also showed a list of places we'd be able to get a COVID vaccine in our ward, which is like our section of Tokyo. And it had a flow chart of the process. So that was the very first information that we had gotten that was going to be like showing what the future was going to look like. And this document didn't say anything about our age group or anything at that point. That was just a document that we're starting to do this thing, start paying attention, it's on its way. The next thing we noticed was we were out for a walk. We live right next to City Hall in our ward, which is Sumida-ku. And this was on May 16th. We noticed they had set up the vaccine center, put up signs for the vaccine center, and you went in to find a trash can, and there was nobody in there except volunteers and empty chairs. It's like nothing.
Just a bunch of empty chairs, and it was mid-afternoon on a Saturday or a Sunday.
So we
were over there,
and we were just like, why are people not here getting jabbed in the arm? Like, what is going on? And we didn't have any idea. We honestly still don't really know, but I have some hypotheses. Hypotheses? Hypothesi?
No. I said it to you. Just repeat what I said.
Say it again. Hypotheses. Okay. So anyway. Hypothesi? It makes sense, right? Like more than one penis is a peni, right?
No, this isn't an octopus conversation right now.
Okay, the next thing that I have on my notes here is on May 25th, we got another flyer in the mail, and this one had more data on it. It had a lot of the same information as the previous one, but they also broke out a timeline process that showed the vaccine rollout for people of different age groups. So
you have the old people, then you have the mildly old people, and then you have the young people. And each of those groups, they have a date to which they can start making a reservation.
I've got all that data, baby.
And then they also have a date to which they could get vaccinated. So you have the little, you will make a call on a certain date and you will set up your appointment, or on the web, but the web has not worked.
We're getting to that.
We're getting to that. So you'd make a reservation, and then at a later date, you're going to go and get your vaccination.
So basically the timeline for us was that we would be able to make appointments, just log in and make an appointment to get a vaccine in the future on June 28th for me and July 13th for her. So that was just to create the appointment, not to get the shot.
Yeah.
Do keep in mind is June 21st, and like I said, spoiler, we've already vaccinated. So we'll get to what happened with that, because it's lucky is what it is. So then the first shot eligibility would be July 6th and July 20th. Those are the first dates. So the thing broke that all down. When you can log in and make your appointment, when you can get your shot. So we would be looking at July 6th and July 20th as our first available shot based on this flowchart. On June 4th, we then got something called a vaccine voucher in the mail. We each got them at the same time. And what this is it is a card with your name on it, and it has your city location, and it has a personal identification number for the vaccine process. So you have your own number, and the city has its own identification.
That is my ownership of a vaccine.
Yes, that means you have to have this ticket. It's like your golden ticket to go and get the vaccine. So this document came for us very early compared to everybody else in the city. In fact, as we're sitting here now, most people in the city still have not received their document. And the reason that we got ours early was because just the ward we happen to live in shipped them all out at the same time rather than incrementally based on your age.
Yeah, and each ward is treating this differently.
Yes.
And I imagine wherever you're from, county or state or whatever level they're breaking this into, it's probably treated differently as to how they're treating residents in that area. And so the coups, some of them are saying we're going to vaccinate old people first, and then some of the coups are saying we're going to vaccinate young people first.
Like Shibuya said they were going to do that.
A lot of coups don't have
wards
any vaccine or have any vouchers having been sent out.
Yeah,
so,
the vaccine ticket.
Yeah, it is quite interesting.
What I find interesting about it is that I think that this vaccine ticket thing is a federal level thing, but they've given the ability for each district to manage how they're going to be distributed.
Yes,
because
you're very right about that.
You can use your ticket, as we'll explain later, in different places besides your own neighborhood, but we did not know this until very recently.
And I just talked to a guy who said that he's going to pick up his voucher as opposed to having it mailed to him.
Yeah, I've heard of people doing that and stuff too. So some people are able to call their city hall and try to get them like expedited and stuff. It's just a whole thing. But we were lucky because of where we live, they just mailed them to us. We were ready to go. We had them weeks before we were going to be able to even log in and set them up. So we were just like, we put them in a safe place and we were waiting. Okay. Hold on a second here. Oh, I wanted to also explain that in that document it said where shots were going to be given out. And in our ward, they were going to be given out at city halls, local doctors, and there is one place that we didn't know about until recently, which is a large vaccine center run by the Japanese Defense Force. And that was one of them in Tokyo and one of them in Osaka. I think that's it. And the one in Tokyo is in a part of the city called Otamachi, which is sort of down by Tokyo Station.
So that was actually listed as a place?
No, not on that documentation, but the documentation only said City Hall and some of the local doctors. Okay, so then on around June 14th, I noticed all of the foreigners on Twitter that live here started talking about there were places with a surplus of shots due to cancellations. So like local doctors who people were making reservations and then they were canceling, and the doctors were like, what the hell do we do with this medicine that has like a shelf life? So what they were doing, some of these doctors individually were making like a way for you to use like a Google form or something and sign up to be on a waiting list so that they could call you and be like, yo, can you be here in an hour? We have a shot for you. Okay. So that started trending like on foreigner Twitter. And I didn't check Japanese Twitter to see if that was a thing that was going on within Japanese Twitter, but it was all over foreigner Twitter. So I started keeping an eye on this, and there's this girl who lives in Yokohama who made a database that you could search of all of the doctors that had one of these lists.
Wow.
So I was kind of keeping an eye on this thing, and I was just like, okay, maybe if I see something that I think will work out or whatever, but I just didn't get around to it. But then I went to her website during the checking process, and she had a big banner at the top. And the banner said the large vaccination center in Otomachi that's run by the Japanese Defense Force was going to open up the ability for anybody 18 and over could sign up for a vaccine starting then. This is the thing, but the caveat is you had to have a vaccine ticket. Like we said, we were lucky because of where we lived, we had vaccine tickets, but a lot of people who live in the city do not.
Dude, I feel bad about posting my picture in the chat with my friends. It's like, I got the shot.
Because none
of them have the opportunity at all.
All of our friends live in different wards, and you only have one friend who lives in Nakano that we know that got one of the tickets around the same time we did.
Oh, yeah, that was John.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So we don't, even our Japanese friends and stuff don't have tickets. Like Makiko doesn't have one, Yuka doesn't have them. Like everybody that I've checked with doesn't have any vaccine tickets.
And we're vaccinated.
And we're vaccinated at this point. It's just we're dumb luck because of where we happen to be living. So, let me see if I had any. So the Japanese Defense Force place, the reason of my understanding that they opened up the vaccinations to anybody is because older people weren't signing up to go there. Like they just weren't doing it. And my hypothesis is that older people want to go to their own doctors that they have a connection with and knows their medical history.
And they might also be able to battle the locale. Like, they might be able to access the facility easier. It's closer to their home. They understand all the steps they're going to have to take to get to that vaccine. Because there were a lot of steps in what I did today that were...
We'll get into that.
And I just can see somebody going, it's the unknown, and there might be a whole lot of things that I'm going to have to tackle to get that done.
The same people that I know, the same receptionists and stuff.
Yeah.
So anyway, and I think that also might be why there aren't any, when we went and saw the vaccine center at the city hall in our neighborhood, why it was empty. I think that older people are just trending towards going to their own doctors. But again, I don't have any evidence of that. That's just the best answer I can come up with. So anyways, people aren't signing up to go to this Defense Force place. So they opened it up, just opened the gates for everybody. And I saw that, and I mean, I basically immediately grabbed my vouchers out of the closet and went to the website that is set up for you to set an appointment. And I beat my head against this website for 20 minutes, and it just never worked.
What day was this? For dating everything, let's date it.
The 15th, June 15th.
June 15th.
So, and it was giving me an error that's like, please insert your data. And my data was inserted, and it just hit go, and it just refreshed. Please insert your data. The website just didn't work. So I was like, okay, this is ridiculous. So I dug around on their website, and I found a phone number. And the phone number said English. And I was like, that's going to be easy. Like, that takes away the difficulty.
I want to take you back a moment. I was like, why don't you try to call the English number? That's what happened.
Oh, is that what happened? You told me?
I was like, there's a telephone number, and you were like, why didn't you tell me about the telephone? Well, you actually were like, why didn't you tell me about all of this? Because
you found out about it before I did somehow.
I knew it the day before you found all this, and I didn't say anything because...
So...
I don't know why.
I called the English number, and a dude picked up, and he was probably a foreigner because his English was like very little accent, like very, very good English. So they have enlisted some, his name was Giovanni, I think.
Something like that.
Something like that. Italian or something.
It was a name I've only said that one time.
So, but the point of that tidbit is that they are having foreigners man those lines to make this smooth, to make this process happen. Like, this aspect of it has been pretty good. So talk to him. The weird part about it was he was like, okay, when can you come? And I was like, now, like the next available slot. And he was like, you got to give me two different dates. And I was like, okay. So I gave him 2 dates. One of them was today and one of them was another day. I can't remember what day it was. And he was like, okay, I'll call you back in 10 minutes. I was like, what? What's happening here? So he's hanging up, and I'm assuming on his side, he's fighting with that website. That's what I think is going on. Like, he's maybe got a different way in or whatever, but he's working with Japanese technology, and if you know Japanese websites, it's probably a nightmare.
I saw the way that they were making second appointments, and that actually seemed pretty easy, but when you have not someone sitting right there with you...
I don't know. But anyway, 10 minutes later, he called back, And he was like, okay, we can set you up for Monday the 21st, which is today, at 2 p.m. And I was like, done, do it. And then I was like, can my wife make an appointment? And he was like, yes. And I was like, I'm going to hand the phone to my wife.
And then I was like, can I go after work? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, can I go on the weekends? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, okay. And he was like, I'll call you back in 10 minutes. And I was like, okay.
So the slot that they gave her was today, the 21st, at 7 p.m., which is basically the latest slot that they can give you.
No, 7:30 is the latest, but they were booked up. Couldn't get last call. Couldn't get last shot.
But that gives you shot after work, so it wasn't like conflicting with anything. You didn't have to check with management to make sure you could do anything. So that gets my notes done. We're finished with my notes. So that brings us to today, the 21st. And that brings us to the process of going and getting the shot. And this, I should have made a really long document explaining this, because we're gonna have to do this. We haven't talked about this yet together, so I haven't heard her experience. She hasn't heard my experience, and it was crazy to a degree, but it was very, very Japanese. Very, like, one of the most Japanese things that I've ever seen, with the way that the systems were and everything. So basically, I didn't even really know what it was. It felt like a government building or something that they had converted.
It kind of felt like a ghost building.
It was like a
building that used to have a use, but yet hasn't been out of use for more than like 5 years. Like, still seems okay on the inside, but has not been used in a really long time.
I'm not sure what this building is, but it's in a pretty ritzy part of town. It's in a nice area, and they have a free shuttle bus that they're running people back and forth from Tokyo Station, which would be a major hub, to this area. I didn't take the shuttle bus because I just walked there from where Katie and I had lunch. Wasn't a big deal, and then I just walked to a station when I was done.
I also walked.
When you get there, in the parking lot, there are some makeshift buildings that they have set up.
Tents. There's like overflow tents for if they have too many people at one time, where you might be waiting outside, but there are chairs that are seated socially distanced away from each other. And you will be strategically placed so that they can move you in order of everyone. So we'll get to that in a second. But outside, these makeshift buildings are tents. They're just like your standard tent with the 4 poles.
And they're not just like overflow. That's where you enter. It's where the process starts.
Yes, it's where the process starts.
When you are approaching this center, there are tons of people on the streets with signs that are like vaccine center this way. And like, there's a lot of people. I don't know if they still were there when you were there, but it was. I
saw 2 people before I entered the parking lot.
It was like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Once you get into the parking lot, they're everywhere.
You are basically on a path that they have constructed where you can't deviate, but people are still telling you to go forward.
So you go into the building. The very first thing that the guy did is he asked me what was in my bag. He asked me to open my bag.
Yeah.
And I had
that motherfucker. I had so much shit in my hands and my bag, and I was so prepared to open my bag for him. And then he was like, "Ma'am, I need you to do your hands." God damn it, guy! And then I'm like dropping shit.
So yeah, you have to have your ID, your vaccine passport, and a questionnaire that you have to answer.
It's your vaccine passport. It's your vaccine voucher.
And then a questionnaire saying like, I don't have any diseases, I'm okay, blah, 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 that kind of thing that you have to sign at the bottom. So you have these 3 documents that you have to be carrying with you when you go in. So the guy checked my bag, and then the next person checks your temperature and gives you a little sticker and then puts it on your documents because, of course, a little sticker. What
was your temperature?
36.5, is that a number?
36.2.
Yeah, and I think that's right, I could be wrong. And then the next place you sit down at a little desk, and the girl checks all your paperwork and just makes sure that everything is fine.
I didn't sit down at that desk. Did you sit down
they had
at
me
that
sit
desk?
down.
Oh, there was no sitting down.
And then they put all of your documents into a clear file, because of course they do, and the clear file is color coded. What color did you get?
Blue.
I got yellow.
Oh, you got yellow? Yellow didn't exist while I was there. It was only red and blue.
And this groups you into where you're going to go. So you're carrying this clear file. Anybody that sees you knows that's a yellow group person. They go in this area, and it keeps you bundled in with like the right flow, so they don't get lines too long in one place or another or whatever. It's a pretty smart system, to be completely honest, to track people that have free will. You know what I mean? So I've got my yellow thing, and then you walk way into this thing, and then you sit down.
And what this starts is a chain of chair changes.
Yes.
There are just areas where there's a bunch of chairs set up, and you sit in chairs for a little while until chairs in another area open up for you and you walk into that area. I would say I probably moved from at least 10 to 12 chair swaps.
Yeah.
Getting from the floor that I started on in the building,
and then up
then
in
you
the
go
elevator.
upstairs, and
in an elevator.
in this whole time you are moving from chair to chair in groups of 5. So you'll be in a room, and then some dude will come over and he'll be like, hey, you 5 people, if you could stand up and just walk in that direction. And then there are people dotted throughout the path telling you, yes, you're going in the right direction, you're going in the right direction. And then they sit all of you down and you wait in another area. So that happened like 10 times.
This is not an underestimation. There are multiple hundreds of volunteers.
Yes.
Like, there are so many people. I think there were more people in the building as volunteers than there were getting shots during the time that I was there. It was incredible how many people were there. I apologize, by the way, I don't have any video of any of this happening because there were no camera signs like all over the place.
Oh,
they don't
really?
want people, they don't want people videotaping this. I was like, oh, maybe I can go in here with the GoPro and like, but no, it's not a thing.
So this is gonna be quality footage, right?
You're going through, and I felt like I was in Kakunin hell, like checking paperwork. Kakunin, like every station you go to so between chair swaps, there are also times where you have to give your paperwork to somebody and they're going and they're checking it all and they're checking a specific thing, and then you go to another person and they check the specific thing, and then you go to another person, and eventually you end up sitting down and did they talk to you at all? Like I had to like have a kind of a little interview, like where she was looking at my health check. And she was asking me specifically, do you have convulsions when you have problems? Have you ever had an allergic reaction to anything? Like, she was double checking verbally with things.
The people that I went through, the first person that I went through was like an older lady with like mild English.
Oh, nobody spoke a word of English to me.
Well, you have talent. I don't. She verified my address and my and just made sure that the paperwork and stuff that I had filled out was correct. Asked me what my name was. She didn't really ask me any of like the issues or problems. She just checked that the paperwork had been filled out. Told me that she also can't write Honjo Azumabashi, which made me laugh really hard. And she confirmed that everything was good, and she told me to go to the next spot.
Was that the very first person that gave you the clear file?
No.
Okay, so this was like somewhere down the line.
Somewhere down the line.
I was trying to log all this away in my head, like what happened at each one, but it's so many things.
I felt like at that point I was meeting my first medical professional.
Yes, okay, we're talking about the same person.
So then she said, please go to the doctor check.
Same group of person.
Yes. So when you walked into the next room, you did sit in a chair that was right outside of this like doctor cube. And somebody else is in that doctor cube. You have to wait for them to leave, and then you go in the doctor cube. And then there's cute guy in there. And he
I had an old guy.
Oh, he had an old guy?
Yeah.
And he was really nice. We did our best. I was waiting for them to ask me about convulsions, but he just asked me about fainting.
Maybe that's how he translated that.
Either way, like I told him everything was fine. He asked me on my questionnaire, I had to write that I have an allergy to amoxicillin and penicillin, and he was like, well, what happens? Or at least was trying to ask what happens, and I was like, dude, these are not words I've practiced. and I was like, kodomo no toki, like when I was a little kid, I had this problem, and I don't know, they just told me to write it on all the paperwork for the rest of my life. Like, that's what allergies are. You just write it on the paperwork for the rest of your life. So he declared at that point that I would need to wait for 30 minutes as opposed 15. To the regular 15 minutes.
There's 2 check boxes on the paper, 1 30 minutes, 1 15.
And at that point, you are also asked which arm you want to receive the shot in. So you get a choice. I assume everywhere gives you a choice.
Yeah, so this is like the guy introduced himself as a doctor. I think they have like real doctor on staff, and they're going through and double checking everything yet another time after the person before.
This guy signed the paperwork, like he was taking
Yeah.
responsibility for what was happening in our conversation, and I was like, okay, that's nice. Then the next place that I went.
Did he ask me anything? Oh yeah, the thing that was weird, he was like, your name? And I was just like, yeah, it's fine, like on a paper. And he's like, no, say it. And I was like, oh, I have to say my name? Like, they wanted a verbal confirmation that the right paperwork
That
was
guy
in their
did not
hands.
ask me to do that.
Oh, okay.
I was not asked by that man to say my name.
He was the first person to make me say my name. And then after him, for me anyways, I'm assuming it's the same, I went in to get the actual injection in my arm.
Okay, before we get to the injection room, so we had to wait before going into the injection room, and everything else had been socially distanced. But I sat this close to someone during that time. They had just lined chairs up against the wall, and I was like, you spent so much time social distancing everything.
What about the elevator?
Oh yeah, the elevator. Yeah, the elevator too.
So
I think at most you probably could have fit like 6 people. Yeah, I would say that elevator ride was fine if we all faced outward.
Faced the wall.
If we did that, and nobody did that. So
it sounds to
you know
me,
what, I should have done that and seen if everybody followed suit. Damn it!
Katie's social games. It sounds like to me it was much more busy for you.
Yeah, because it was after work.
I only sat down twice, like through that entire thing. We would walk into the room, they go, okay, come on, and we just keep walking.
Oh boy, I had to sit and stand, and I had a bag with me, and I was like, this kind of sucked with the bag.
So anyway,
then we're both in the injection room.
the injection area, and there were 2 ladies in there. They were super friendly and super nice. And one of them made me say my name again, and she looked at all the paperwork and check, made sure it was all okay. And the other girl was getting the vaccine ready to go.
Okay, I had a dude, and the dude announced that I was going to be getting the shot in my right arm, and that I was a 30-minute wait situation.
Yeah, she did the same thing.
So
the same stuff.
What that meant to the lady was that at the minute that I give her the injection, I'm going to write down a time that's 30 minutes on a piece of paper, 30 minutes later, and I give her that piece of paper. Yeah. And then they took away my clear folder at one point. I was like, how am I supposed to hold all these? I need this clear folder.
So they jabbed the needle in my arm, and as they're injecting it, I asked them, I was like, so which vaccine is this? Because at this point, I had never seen anywhere that had said what we were getting. So I was like, which one is this? And she laughed. She thought this was funny that this is being asked after they're like pushing it into me. And I'm assuming we both got Moderna. So they're giving Moderna shots. So that's what I've got. That's my 5G. That's what I've got rolling in my blood now.
Upon the needle being in your arm, were you asked any questions?
I don't think so.
This bitch was asking me if I was having pain in my arm, and
during the shot.
Yeah, and she's asking me words that I don't know, and then she goes pity pity, and I don't know what pity pity means, and then she said itai, and I was like, no, I'm fine, it doesn't hurt. And she was asking if my hand hurt or the lower part of my arm hurt, and I'm like, could we what? I didn't hurt at all. The needle in my arm didn't hurt. Me and her stopping, but you've kind of entered this mode of needle time, where you kind of just waiting for it to be over, and you're in a way kind of breathless about it.
Yeah, but she doesn't know. She doesn't know your Japanese level or anything, and she's been doing this with native speakers all day long.
I'm not blaming it on her.
Oh, okay.
I'm just saying, wow, we're having a hardcore moment right now where you're stabbing me in the arm, and you're really exhausting the moment.
So after that, it takes a minute or something. It's really fast, that process was. And then they're like, okay, here's your clear file with your stuff, and then you're on your way to the next station.
Here's all your crap.
And
they didn't take away the clear file at that point. I just want you to know I'm still clear filing.
I went to 2 more ladies, and then these ladies, the whole purpose of this stop was they took stickers. There's 4 stickers on your vaccine ticket voucher. 2 stickers for each shot that you have to get, and there's 2 documents that they put them on.
Yeah, one of them is for your records, the other one is for their records.
So they are just putting these stickers and then a honko.
Oh, no. She had them lined up. She was like, dun, 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 dun.
But
I was like, I love your passion. It
was just sticker ladies. And I mentioned to them, I was like, man, there's a lot of stops, and they were giggling. They were like, yeah, and this is air of kind of it was a happy air in there. They were really That's kind of the vibe I got from almost everybody that I interacted with, to be honest with
yes,
you.
yeah.
And then after your stickers get moved by these two ladies, and they tell you to go to the next station, and then then
sticker ladies.
No seats.
Still have my clear file.
No seats for me. I didn't have to do that. And then you go. I just walked straight into the next area, and it was the set up your second appointment.
Yeah,
so
I read the kanjis for that, and I was like, I know where I am.
I sat down, and he has to punch in a bunch of stuff on a tablet, I think he had. And then, are you shaking or is there an earthquake? Oh, you're shaking. Okay. Punch in a bunch of stuff on a tablet, and then tells you, like, okay, these are the dates that you can have it when is good.
Yeah, the earliest that I could do it was the 22nd of July.
I think I had the 21st.
You said yours is on the 17th.
17th? Oh, really? I don't remember. It's written down, of course. So, yeah. Did you want to do it in the evening as well? Is that why?
No, I actually booked it for the middle of the day.
Oh, okay, you're just going to sort that out.
Yeah, I'm just going to sort it out. It wasn't difficult. I feel like they're going to even more so have their shit in order at that point.
Yeah.
And it'll just flow how it flows. I won't be going to class and really have my life so scrunched into a time-specific situation, so I think I've got flex.
So, yeah, it is set up. You set up your appointment. That is all set. It's on the books. And then they have you go and sit in a little, like, area. And this is one of the only times I had to sit down. Yeah, I had to sit there for 15 minutes. No allergies.
Sit there for 30 minutes.
So you sit there, and there's like 5 people standing there, just standing around, just watching.
There were nurses at the front, and like a big clock, and everybody's just waiting
like a TV,
for the clock
but everybody's
to go
looking
down.
at their phones.
And the TV was weird. Some weird shit was happening on the TV, man.
So I just sat there for 15 minutes, and then I stood up like when I saw the clock went to the time that they had written down on this piece of paper, and I was like, all right. So then I just skedaddled, and then you just go to
they usher you
out to the elevator, and then down, and then outside, and then you're free.
All the way until you are outside.
Yeah.
And then,
it was an incredibly Japanese system, and I think that if you were fresh off the boat, if you were like a new foreigner in Japan, and you all of a sudden had that hit you, it would be like, it would be really, you'd be fine, but the amount of double checking and these ladies that move the stickers and moving to different chairs, and like there's like dots on the floor like for the color of your clear file that you're supposed to follow, like just the way everything was laid out is it's an incredibly unique Japanese experience.
Yeah, so I want to talk about some other things.
Okay.
Because I was sitting there and I just kind of stared at all the people. We're all doing that thing that everybody's been waiting for, and I don't even know what emotion I had about it. It was just I haven't quite assessed that yet, like how I feel about this moment, because it's been a long time coming, and I think if I had made my appointment and there was more than a few days between, I would have had time to like accept how I feel about it, or even process how I feel about it. But I was just sitting there kind of overwhelmed by the fact that we're all doing this. We're all making this hardcore, quick decision to get this done. Or at least the people that I saw.
Anybody that's there jumped at the opportunity to do it.
Yeah. And then I was sitting outside of the injection booth, and I was like, now's your time to run.
Like
and I sat there.
Before?
Yeah, I sat there and I really thought about it. I was like, are you gonna do it? And I had no, there was nothing in me that was gonna do it. But I was like, if you were somebody who was worried about this is where you'd be making that decision.
So, like I said, can I talk about it?
I think I'm done.
Okay, sorry. It is 9:30ish probably by now, and I got my shot at 2. And immediately after I got my shot, I started feeling nauseous. Just a little bit, like 2%.
I had a little bit of nauseous, but I was like hungry. So I thought to myself, maybe you just haven't eaten enough.
I couldn't tell if I was nauseous from the shot or from all the circles I was doing with everybody checking all my paperwork. Like, you know what I mean? And I made sure, a friend told me, make sure you drink some water before you go in.
I did that, and I had to pee the whole time.
I hydrated so that wouldn't be a problem.
Hold on, I want to present something interesting. So people were ushering everybody around. So after I got my shot and they put me in the 30-minute hold box, I was like, I wanted to call it a playpen. When they put me in the 30-minute playpen, nobody wanted to play, sorry. They put me in there, I asked if I could go to the bathroom, and they like handheld walked me to the bathroom.
Wait,
they didn't really hold my hand, but like I had somebody with me every step of the way to the bathroom, to the point that we got into the bathroom, and she told me, these 2 stalls are really small, so you might want to wait for the other people. I was like, dang, that is some service.
So, side effects or anything. My arm is just now beginning to feel a little sore.
I have nothing right now.
And I had a pretty gnarly headache about 5 p.m. But it's gone now. I feel fine. So that has been the experience that I've had with the Moderna injection. I know that most people probably are watching this have already had access to a shot or whatever, but just because of the way Japan's rollout has been so bad, this is our first opportunity. And again, we're pretty early. Most people don't even have the ability to go get shots. And we have like a friend who lives in Sendai, and he was just like, it's not a thing that's happening yet up here, like in a way that he has access to. So yeah, I mean, Japan is still kind of lagging behind the rest of like the developed nations, or however whatever word you want to use for that. But hopefully it'll be better soon. Yeah.
Well, I already have my second appointment.
Yeah,
so it's pretty better
I'm
now.
I'm happy to have this aspect of my life tied up.
That comment felt selfish. Like yeah, it was a totally selfish comment. I don't necessarily feel selfish. I just feel like the opportunity presented itself, so I took it. Do you feel selfish about having?
No.
Do you feel like you jumped the line?
I don't know, because they opened the gates and the shots weren't being used. I was a little bit. One of the reasons I wasn't pushing to get a shot at one of the smaller clinics that had like a backlog or whatever is I was like, I'm going to let that be for people who maybe need this more than I do. But once this happened, and I knew, I mean, you could look and see how many open slots they had, and it was like, when I looked at it, it was like 8,000 or 9,000.
Oh, I forgot to tell.
Yeah, you can say that in a sec.
Okay.
I was like, okay, that's it. I'm in, because I don't feel like it's a selfish act at all. I think that you are protecting yourself, but you're also helping protect the rest of the community.
Yeah, it's something that everybody has to do it. So I sat there and I thought about that, and I was just like, if somebody told me that it's okay to get a shot, then it's okay to get a shot.
Yes.
I'm not going to sit here and let me be the politeness or...
Yeah, I don't feel like I was taking a shot
police.
from an older person or something like that, or a person who was like immune compromised or whatever.
In my class, I told everybody that I was getting my vaccination, and they were like, what? And I was like, and I explained the system. The Self-Defense Force has set up a place where people from 18 to 64 can get a shot. Doesn't matter what coup you're from, but you must have your voucher. That's how it works. Like, that's the way you say the Self-Defense Force situation. And so they all got kind of like, a lot of them obviously don't have their vouchers. But I think one dude did have a voucher, and he said that he called, I assume this was on Saturday, he said the day after I talked to him, and that they had no open, they had open slots but no vaccines, because they have automatically set up that if you came in to get a vaccine, you already have your second vaccine secured. You're not going to get to a point with that second appointment where they call and tell you you don't have a vaccine.
Okay, yeah, mine is already like locked down.
Once you said that date, that meant your second shot is a go. So once they get more vaccines in, they'll start at first shots. And so they're giving them out in pairs as opposed to just giving out a shot like other countries have done.
Yeah. But anyway, this has now been a 40-minute discussion video about the vaccination process in Japan.
You know what's funny? I think that the vaccination process was quicker than that.
Yeah. I think
yours
so too.
Was definitely.
Mine was. Yours was probably right about 40 minutes.
I wouldn't say. Oh no, if you include my wait time, which is variable, I would say like.
How much time do you think you spent in that building?
From stepping in to getting the shot, I would say was probably 20, a little bit over 20 minutes. It really didn't take that long, and then I had to wait the 30.
About 40 minutes, maybe 50 minutes. All right, I got nothing else to say. You got anything else to say?
Nope.
Okay. Yeah. I hope you enjoyed this description of the process of getting
You were lingering. Goodbye.
a vaccine in Tokyo. I don't know how it's going out in the States. Thanks.